After a disastrous breakup, Qian Hailu wakes up to find that she's dead. Luckily or not, she's been given a chance to turn back the clock and avert her death, as long as she can pass 3 rounds in the game of life. Hello and welcome, Lynx here, and we are sitting today to the final prize is soup from Fornoki, or maybe it's like a, I don't know, Japanese play on words here. I'm not sure. I think we are getting into actually something very high quality, because this was apparently ranked 2nd in Spooktuber Visual Novel Jam of 2023, so we might be up for a crazy good journey, even though we've been through a lot of very good journeys so far. But now we might be like going on an even higher level. Let's get to it, shall we? Within a crackling red, a suffocating black, my mind seemed to take form from countless ashes. A falling sensation jolted me awake, but my body would not move. A wave upon my legs, a haze upon my consciousness, as if the flow of blood had congealed within my veins. Hello. I opened my heavy eyelids and met Red. A girl wearing a red dress sat upon my lap, looking at me like one would look at a particularly droll statue in a dull museum. I went to push her off of me, yet I was unable to make more than the slightest twitch. In the folly of the design of human flesh, unlike wooden marionettes, despite the stiffness of my muscles and joints, I could still feel the hard seat and backrest. I tried to speak, and in more of the same, my voice did not move. Okay. Is this supposed to be like a super little blade? She too did not speak. Finally her eyes, red as blood, met mine. As if acknowledging me, as if dismissing me, she stepped down to the ground. In doing so, she opened up my line of sight. I glanced around, still frozen. This was a place filled with shadows and little else. I seemed to spot the outline of a door by a far wall, which was also covered in darkness. Just a glint of light where there was no light instantly caught my eye. A blade. A scalpel. Ooh. A scalpel, you say? I wouldn't say that's a good sign. The girl had a small surgical knife that, at this very moment, she let go of. That which fell to the ground, rather than clink or bounce, was devoured by the floor and melted away. Say what? A fanciful thought filled across my mind that this was a dream. She did not speak, and I could not speak. My tongue stiff in my mouth, my limbs feeling not my own. Slowly I regained control of my body and pushed myself up to my feet. A wave of vertigo washed over me as I wobbled to balance. Woo! I glanced behind me, finding the chair that I must have been sitting on and the same darkness that covered the rest of this place. Finished, I wearily looked back towards the girl. Where was this? Who was she? I tried to remember how I arrived at this situation. Nothing. I couldn't remember anything, instead feeling a budding headache at my temple and a sour sensation bubbling up in my gut. No one would search for me. A face crossed my mind as if to contradict me. Maybe that person who I pushed away would... Well, the thought didn't give me any sense of relief.
You have already died.
Then an unfamiliar voice, the voice of the girl wearing red, broke the silence.
This is the afterlife. The courts of Diu. Welcome to the final court. The 11th court, where you will be judged.
I'm curious, is this like a Chinese belief or... I have no clue. Or maybe it's, you know, just made up for the sake of the story? No, it's not. Okay, Diu, realm of the dead, or hell in Chinese mythology. Gotcha. We learn as we play. I was dead, she said. This was the afterlife, she said. To think that my forebears were right. Courts were a major part of the traditional subterranean afterlife of Diu, a concept formed from a mixture of Buddhist ideas and traditional Chinese ideas. The number was commonly stated to be 10, but I had heard of variants albeit not 11. Then again, this wasn't my area of study, but rather information that person would mention now and then when something piqued her interest. Was I in such a great shock that my mind would wander so?
So, I'm dead?
Yeah. She looked at me as if I were the fool. Without waiting, she continued her script.
I'm the judge of the 11th court of hell. You have been disqualified from entering the cycle of reincarnation by your sins in life.
Whoops.
Your fate as a sinner will be determined by this court. Therefore you may not drink Ren'Py's forgetfulness soup.
Ren'Py was a goddess at Naih Bridge in the underworld, serving a soup that would wipe the memory of all that drank it. I guess that would explain why, you know, if reincarnation is the truth, right? Why you don't remember stuff. All souls had to drink the soup before they could reincarnate into the next life, stripped from the burdens of their previous life. Would you want to be reincarnated for? That's the thing. I think I wouldn't want.
Instead, you are given a chance to participate in a trial set by the King of the 11th Court. A game of life, 3 rounds, 3 tests. Should you pass all 3, then you will be brought forth before the court to win the qualification for rebirth or to undo your death.
What did it mean to undo my death? I narrowed my eyes in contemplation, thinking of all the false claims of resurrection made by religious fanatics of all sorts. Of course, I wanted to live again. Really? Somewhere deep in my bones, I already accepted that I was dead.
What sorts of tests? Oh, dangerous enough, difficult enough. What happens if I refuse to enter this game of life? Oh, you'll be judged to have lost and be eaten alive. You have no obligation to participate. Simply do nothing and everything will end with time. No, just wanted to check. I have no intention of giving up before I even get started.
I looked around again, finding no one but her and me.
Why was I the only one chosen for this? Hey? Why do you think that? There are plenty of other dead who will also play this game. Deciding whether you want to fight over the prize with them once you meet is your prerogative.
A low bell rang. It was very low, if it rang actually. Yeah, that wasn't very... Music can... Oh yes, now we are talking. Music is decent, I would say. Oh, now we're talking. She tilted her head upward, gazing into the dark.
My task here is finished. I've been called away by the king, so I'll take my leave now.
Not looking for an answer from me, she turned to leave and stepped partway into the shadows before pausing. She glanced back toward me and pointed at the door by the far wall.
Just one more thing. Pass through the door to enter the first test. The first game. If you are still interested in playing.
Then she walked fully into the shadows and disappeared from my sight. I was now all alone. All I had left to do was walk through the door, but I hesitated. The continuing close sound of the bell sent chills down my spine. As I stalled, the darkness approached. Before I realized, the chair behind me was swallowed whole. I stumbled, trying to avoid the shadows that had reached my feet. It extended towards me, and I backed away further, but despite the plague barely touching my shoes, I felt it like hands upon my neck, cold, yet burning. Okay. I gasped, forcing myself toward the door, thinking of the invisible things grabbing me. They seemed to drag me back, making my skin burn. And I ran. I had to run. The darkness chased. I reached the door. I could not see the other side, despite appearing more like a hole in the wall than the door now that I was mere steps away. I had to go. Propelling myself through it with my hands against the frame, I passed through the door. Way. And then I got blinded. Actually, no. You know what? Thank you. Not a blinding screen. Now. That's a 5 out of 5 game, by the way. A strange light, so similar to the absence of light, enveloped me. Then I was falling. Okay, even that very short moment of screen becoming even whiter was not painful. Good job on that. I grunted as I dropped unceremoniously to the ground. Despite landing on my feet, I slipped on the wet grass and rolled up a couple of meters down the hill. It took me a moment to reorient myself on the ground. When the world finally stopped spinning, I stood, brushed the dirt off my clothes as best I could, and observed my surroundings. There wasn't much to comment on. I was in a deserted part of the dark forest. Trees and shrubbery surrounded me on all sides. Visibility was minimal, but moonlight streamed through gaps within the leaves. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke through the natural quietude. Hey? Perhaps I wasn't alone after all. There was something in the foliage. Before I could investigate, a familiar voice filled the sky.
Welcome to the first round of the game of life.
It was a girl in the red dress. Like her voice came from the speakers of a stadium, she was nowhere to be seen yet could be heard everywhere.
The rules are simple. You have 9 hours to arrive at the bottom of the mountain. Alive, of course. I'll be your judge. Good luck.
I bit back a chuckle. She couldn't hide the sarcasm in her well wishes if she tried. Well, at least downhill was always easier than uphill. I wouldn't be so sure. I began walking in the direction the ground seemed to slope downward. I did my best to ignore the eerie feeling of something watching me from within the foliage as I searched my pockets. Did I have anything that might help me get down the mountain in one piece? Not much at all. No wallet, no phone, not even my lighter. Oh great, I'm a smoker in the game. At least the moon was bright tonight. Despite the darkness of the forested mountain, I had enough light to ensure I wouldn't walk right into a tree. 9 hours wasn't a very long time, but it was enough to lose strength to thirst and hunger. The question is, do you feel that over there? Thankfully I didn't feel hungry or thirsty right now. But just in case, should I spend some time Looking for a river or... A sharp scream sliced through my thoughts and sent a shiver up my spine, making my heart race in my chest. I jumped at the sound, turning in every direction to identify its origin. When as the scream began to diminish, the noise of crunching and squelching reminding me of a large dog feasting upon a fleshy reward reached my ears. I ran towards the source. Why? It might have been dangerous, but I couldn't just leave someone in danger. So I naively thought. Dashing toward the noise, I felt my stomach turn as the animalistic kicking increased in volume and further dread came upon me as I realized that I could no longer hear the person. I skidded to a stop before I reached, finding that the level ground stopped a few meters in front of me. The sound came from below. Walking toward the edge to peer downward, I wondered if they would be alright. That's sure. The train of thought died as soon as I saw what became of the person, or what became the remains of the person. They were dead, okay? That wasn't a person. That wasn't a human being. That was just a pile of flesh. Oh boy. A few meters below the ridge where I stood, a pack of monsters hunched over something terribly red, tearing inwards from the lifeless sack of what must be a human. Words were caught in my throat. My lungs stuttered with each breath. As much as my brain screamed at me to run, I couldn't tear my eyes from the scene. There was hurry before they noticed or something like that. As soon as I thought that, one of the monsters suddenly turned its head. Red dots in the depths of black pits met my eyes. I wonder if there is like a quick time event or something. If those teeth caught me, I would be done, you bet. My sense of equilibrium collapsed, and my legs turned to jelly, causing me to fall behind. It let out a hollow and jumped towards me, thankfully unable to climb up the ridge to reach me. Yet, sensing my presence above the ledge just a few meters tall, it began to slam and scrape against rocks to find a handle to climb upward. That was fun enough for my brain to get my legs to work. I scrambled to my feet and run! I dashed through the forest in the opposite direction of those creatures, hoping I was still going downhill and not into a den of monsters. As I ran past trees and shrubs, a sunlight caught my eye. A bobbing orb within the foliage appeared to be approaching me, the light flickering in and out as it disappeared behind leaves intermittently. My breath hitched. No, no, no! I didn't know what the light could be, but considering I just saw a pack of monsters eating the last person that screamed, I didn't want to find out and picked another direction to run. How many more monsters can be? As I twisted, the ground beneath me disappeared. What? My foot hit something hard, and the sky swung outside of my field of view as grass and rocks came hurtling toward me. Ah! I crashed on the ground, just barely able to stop myself from face planting straight in the dirt. Terror gripped my heart. Did something catch me? When I turned around, I saw a new metal pipe and a hiking backpack on the ground. I mean, lucky. What stripped me was nothing more than a pair of inanimate objects, innocuously scattered apart by my impact. Their presence was almost laughable in the face of what I imagined. My heart wanted to relax and stop thumping for a moment, filled with self-ridicule at my overreaction. Then I saw the light flickering through the trees again. Too close! Too close! I had to leave now! I struggled to my feet, but that one moment of relaxation took me more of a toll on me than I expected. My legs wobbled and the glow was upon me before I could get up. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing myself for the end! I was done for. Whatever monster I was running away from was going to eat me. The first bite never came for. Huh? Instead, I heard human footsteps shuffle closer to my position before stopping. The light swept over my closed eyelids and then shifted out of my face. Whoever stood before me did not speak. However, perhaps it wasn't a monster? When I opened my eyes, it was a pretty face that greeted me. Her usual gloomy disposition broken by the surprise in her eyes. It was a familiar face, her eyes averting mine as she too recognized me. Was I dreaming? Mimi? My heart started thumping for a different reason. Cold sweat breaking out from nervous awkwardness instead of fear. She was Mimi. No, not Mimi. Her name was Qian Hailu, and my former girlfriend. Awkward. I used the term former not because I had died, but because we broke up a few weeks ago. And it wasn't... I swallowed those feelings like I swallowed her name from my lips.
Lulu! Qian Hailu. I mean, Qian Hailu?
Not sure.
Yes, Cheng Yangshu.
We spoke each other's full names, mutually discarding the pet names that we once called each other when we had been in love. Yikes. Qian Hailu and Cheng Yangshu were no longer dating. Qian Hailu and Cheng Yangshu were dead. That's correct. I finally gathered my thoughts.
I didn't expect to see you here. Neither do I.
You're here for the game of life as well? A rhetorical question. Who would go hiking deep in the mountains at this hour of the night? Maybe someone. Certainly not me. Cheng Yangshu. She was much more of an indoor girl.
Yeah. At least the task seems simple. We just have to get to the bottom of the mountain. It's always easier to go down than up.
I feel like I've heard that line before. Who said it? Like our relationship, huh?
Easy. There are monsters in our tail. Monsters? Yeah, I saw them eating one of the contestants.
I know how to describe the scene. My blood running cold as I remembered vividly the monsters eating. However, it seemed I didn't need to. She didn't interrupt my words. She trembled as she looked at her phone, and it took everything to not reach out to give her a comforting hug. This was a bad dream. We would wake up and we would be... I sighed internally. Why did I do this to myself? Why did you do what exactly? Be more specific. I couldn't let the past cloud over the present. Still looking at the way she clutched her phone, trembling at the mere mention of monsters made me waver in my convictions. It occurred to me that she would never make it out alive on her own. What? A life that seemed to be the wrong phrase for.
I can't believe we were above that. That's one hell of a coincidence. Coincidence? A horrible one, but yeah.
What was the line for interacting with and helping your ex? Despite my indecision, there was one thing. I had no doubt about that. I wonder if we don't remember something about the past. Because the way she reacted to our line here. Yeah. This little change of expression. It's a little thing, but it's like we don't know something. Anyway, it didn't matter that we broke up. I didn't want her to be dead.
Should we team up?
Terror was still evident in her face, but there was a light of hope in her eyes from my words. She hesitantly reached out a hand towards me, but retracted it before I could hold her. With a slight shake of her head and slight nod, she gave me the slightest smile.
If you'll have me.
Look. I mean, that certainly is not an outfit for hiking. But, yeah. We chatted about our situation for a few more minutes and debated on what we should do. We couldn't find an answer beyond playing this cruel game. Yangshu tilted her head toward the objects on the ground.
What do we have here?
A backpack. I dug through the backpack I tripped over.
A couple of bottles of water, a variety of snacks, and a first aid kit.
I pulled the items out one by one to show Yang Shu.
And I guess this.
I picked up the metal pipe laying by the backpack and swung it a couple of times. I didn't harbor any optimism about its effectiveness against man-eating monsters, but it was a weapon.
There is a note from 11. Lucky boxes will be scattered throughout the mountain for players to use as they please. I suppose this is one of them.
11?
Oh, I mean the girl in the red dress. And she appeared to tell me I'm dead. Did she not appear before you too? I think it was her voice who announced the start of the game.
I held my hand out for the note, which Yang Shu handed to me. The calligraphy on the red paper was stunning. Take me out of this dreary forest for a moment. Each delicate curve and stroke perfectly sized, indicating masterful control of the brush. I felt my lips curl upwards, involuntarily a softness filling my chest. There was a saying that beautiful people had beautiful handwriting. Well, that explains a lot about me then. My writing is amazing. Or it used to be. I don't know about now. It was unfair. That also says that the doctors are not considered attractive people, I guess. No. Listen, if you are a doctor and you are on this channel, you are absolutely an attractive person. No worries about that. Confirmed. Okay? It was unfair.
Oh, her. Yeah, she appeared in front of me too. She didn't give me her name, so I've just been calling her 11 in my head. I see. I don't know her name either. It'll be easier to call her 11, I guess.
I briefly... Why is she constantly looking at her phone? I briefly wondered what her real name was. As I repacked the backpack, I decided to ask the next time I saw her. If we see her as well.
Yang Shu?
She looked up from her phone and guiltily placed it in a sleep mode.
Have you tried calling for help?
Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting to receive a call from the underworld.
Yeah.
She chewed on her lip and shook her head before turning the phone on again to call.
There is no signal.
What had she been using that phone for this whole time? Looking at wallpapers that she downloaded from all the anime Twitter artists. It's just me? Oh.
That's too bad. Hey, maybe you should turn it off. I can barely see our surroundings with that blue light. I'm sorry. Besides, what if it runs out of battery at the time we need it? Oh, that's not a problem.
My mouth dropped open. But words could not adequately describe my shock as I watched her fish through her pockets and pulled out a hand crank charger. I'm sorry, is that a thing? Is that actually a thing? No way that's a thing. Hand crank charger. What?
Are you serious?
Dude, also it's so... I guess the better ones obviously will be more expensive, but... What the heck? This is actually cheap. How come I've never heard about that? Dude, we are learning so much from this game already. I need this. I mean, I say I need this, but not like I would use it.
But what the heck? That's so cool! See, now I can use my phone as much as I want.
Charging around like that would still take time. Let's leave it on a sleep mode for now until we find somewhere safe and with reception.
Oh, okay.
She agreed and put her phone away without a fight. Then again, she also might be feeling more comfortable if she's using this in this situation. Yeah. Backpack on my shoulders, metal pipe in my hand, and Yangshu following closely behind me, we resumed our journey to the bottom of the mountain. We walked. I mean, yeah. What else could you have been doing? And walked. And walked. For a long time. I couldn't tell how long we had been walking. Was this even downward? What if monster appeared? Again. That is so rare in games, by the way. I think there was only one game in the past that we played that would always say upward, downward, leftward, rightward. I'm so not used to this. It's kind of funny when you... Yeah, to me it's kind of funny saying upward, downward. Anyway, what if a monster appeared beyond the next bush? Every rustle of foliage, every breeze of mountain air, every single little sound kept the two of us on the edge. Especially when the ground went up and down and shadows moved with the moon. Also in real life, I believe I've never heard anyone say upward. It's only up, down. There. Despite my anxieties, I kept my face stoic. If I broke down now, I would never make it through this game alive. I mean, technically, we are not alive. But not just me, but her too. The question is, can more than one person go through this game? Or is it like a battle royale? Anywho, eventually 11's voice came once again from the sky.
It is now the hour of the oaks. You have 4 more hours to make it to the base of the mountain.
Is it like midnight? I have no hour of the oaks. Okay, no, it's around 2 in the morning. Okay. So at 6 we are supposed to be in the at the base. 4 more hours meant that we had a little less than half the time left. I know why the judge felt so kind as to let us know the time, but something else she said bothered me.
Hour of the oaks. It means the hours between 1 and 3 in the morning.
Okay, I just googled it.
Oh, well, learn something new every day.
I said that before.
Oh.
We continued to walk, following the slight slope downwards. Some mountains could take days to climb. The same probably held true for descending such mountains. I could only hope this wasn't one of them. Although my legs grew tired, I trekked onward with Yangshu. I could feel my pace slowing, but the distance between us seemed to be growing each moment. Thus I slowed to a stop and turned to look at her. I bet you don't have like proper shoes for that. I couldn't keep ignoring the panting behind me. Yangshu wasn't made for the outdoors.
Yangshu. Hey. Let's take a break.
As soon as the words left my mouth, I felt the wave on my shoulders, rushed through my whole body, and the aching of my feet intensified. Oh yeah, that will happen. That will happen. That's why it's better to not stop, kind of thing. If you want to continue at the same, after a few moments.
I can keep going.
I shook my head.
No, I'm tired as well. This backpack is killing me.
With thump, I drove the backpack to the ground and took a seat in a grassy patch by some foliage. I wrapped my shoulders, stretching a bit, and began to rummage through the backpack for the food and water we found inside before. Some refreshments would go a long way right now. It was an awful night for a midnight picnic, but I handed her a bottle of water anyways. Rummaging through the snacks including my lucky box, I picked out some potato chips and pretzels for Yangshu. She packed up immediately and took the bag, enthusiastically tearing it open and munching happily on the snacks. I smiled. She always looked the cutest, eating her favorite salty foods. Then I bit back the smile and forced a frown. I need to stop thinking like this. We ate mostly in silence. Perhaps it was due to the fact that there were monsters hunting us. Or perhaps it was due to this being the first meal we shared since breaking up. It's funny, but you know, I know people who, you know, if they were in this situation and they were to eat pretzels, we are dead. You can already assume we are dead. Because they can't eat quiet, some of them. It didn't matter, I was able to think of anything I was willing to say anyways. Obviously with pretzels, you will make some noise, yes. But some people are like 10, 20 times louder. Like, dude, how? Anyway. Wait, did I read this line? It didn't matter, I wasn't able to think of anything I was willing to say anyways. Okay. After eating, Yangshu sat cross-legged by me and took out her phone and hang crank. I suppose we're safer now than before since I didn't hear any monsters nearby. Taking a quick glance around, I couldn't see anything in our proximity. I couldn't scold her for this. She turned the crank her hands, brows drawn, and completely focused on the task. Yet the speed she was going at wouldn't generate nearly enough energy to charge a temporary lamp for 2 minutes, let alone a phone. I mean, scouting sounds like a good idea, but... help her. Let's see.
Here, give it to me.
Yangshu hesitated but passed the crank to me. I started turning the handle at twice the speed she was. Still, it would take time to charge the phone. Barely a % increase in battery showed after cranking for 5 minutes. Oh.
So, why do you bother with this?
She looked up from her phone.
Going to these lengths to keep a phone alive. We don't even have reception.
A small smile graced her lips, reminding me of the time we were together. It was sadder than I remembered it to be. Was she not doing well? If she wasn't, then I...
There is a lot of important things in this phone, so I don't want it to die.
I raised an eyebrow at her answer, unable to formulate words at the sound of the hand crank filled the silence between us. She still had that small, sad but contented smile on her face, but was directed at her phone.
I see.
It's about the past of the two of you, isn't it? I bet there are photos and etc. there. Maybe messages from the past. Anyway, I didn't understand at all. What could be so good about a hunk of plastic and silicon?
A lot, apparently.
We sat in awkward silence, the sound of the rotating handle the only thing that filled the air and made it bearable. Otherwise I might have run my mouth on an unfortunate topic like the weather. It was probably for the better that I had nothing to say.
Oh, you're so strong, Hailu.
Hey? Yangshu expressed her lips to a line, then looked away.
No, I just thought you're really brave being in the situation, and all.
You too. Almost said, but bit the words back at the last minute. Why? It wouldn't do to spoil her again, now that she was finally being a bit... independent? Another 10 minutes of cranking passed in silence.
I think the phone should be charged enough now.
I stopped turning the hand crank and handed both items back her, Yangshu putting them away wordlessly. It was time to get moving. We walked in silence again. There wasn't much to talk about, and most of our energy was spent keeping our ears and eyes out for monsters. After what felt like hours of being on the edge, our fragile peace was destroyed. Perhaps we grew complacent, perhaps the trees and bushes blocked the way, the moonlight hitting our eyes too harshly. Uh-oh. I'd know if I saw them first or heard them first. A pair of monsters knelt in a clearing, teeth ripping to the remains of someone's leg. White bone gleamed in the moonlight, sinew still fresh and red. I barely had the chance to exhale when their ears twitched and 4 red dots pointed in our direction. Run! I shoved the Yangshu behind me as the first monster swept and I barely parried it with the metal pipe. Hailu! Get out of here! Look for help or find a weapon! And their arm reached out to me and I smashed the pipe against it. The sound of nails on metal making me cringe. But Hailu! The monster interrupted her with a howl and I held the metal pipe in front of me just enough to block a maw of pointy, rotten teeth from biting my face off. Yangshu, listen to me, we're just a liability! Hurry up and get out of here! I heard the crunch of leaves as she ran away. Looking back at the 2 monsters, I swallowed nervously. I put up a brave face in front of Yangshu, but all I wanted to do was run with her. But if I ran, they would come after both of us. It would be the end of both of us. The monsters let out a growl and the skin around their mouths. No, those weren't lips, stretching to what felt like a smile. The next sounds were briefly repeated growls. Were they laughing? You sons of bitches. How dare you laugh at me? Fight! Their overconfidence annoyed me. Ah! I raised the pipe and dashed towards the closest monster. The monster's eyes widened in surprise as I bashed its head with the pipe. It dropped to the ground, momentarily stunned as the other monster leapt towards me. I swiped the pipe again, hitting its shoulder, and thankfully was able to redirect its path enough to miss landing on me. The older monster was back, however, and I barely rolled out of its way as it sunk its claws in the ground where I was standing. I pushed myself up to the crouching position just in time for one of the monsters to leap at me again. No time to run. I raised the pipe in an attempt to shield myself, but the monster screamed as the pipe snagged on its skin, slicing as I made a swing through its torso. It wasn't enough to kill it, but the monster dropped to the ground beside me, clutching itself and writhing in pain. The pipe, thanks to the momentum, bent at a near 90-degree angle. The other monster looked at its companion, then back at me. I'll kill you too! Even though they understood my words, there was hardly a threat. And it was certainly not scared. The second monster leapt at me and I held the pipe up to block. I'll outrun it. Frick it. I believe in myself. I broke my stance and turned to run, but I had changed my mind too late. The monsters... Oh, so that's not what it meant. I thought that the monster got past us in this situation. That's why we are outrunning. Okay, let's change that. No, I'm totally changing my... Yeah, Yangshu, It was okay. Yangshu would come back. She might have been flaky and often useless, but she wasn't the one to leave others behind. Especially not against monsters and death. I just had to hold out until Yangshu came back. I changed my stance with the pipe at the last minute. Just as the monster reached out its claw, I swung the pipe back, hitting it right across the jaw and sending it flying along with half of the pipe. It was too short to be a weapon now. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! It was a good... I was a good distance away and the monster was still dazed from the hit I gave its head, but it wouldn't be long before it recovered. Should I try to run? How far would I be able to get to? Could I actually outrun? A blur appeared before my eyes and cut my panicked thoughts short. Die! Carrying a large rock, she bashed it over the monster's head. Yangshu's skinny arms were unexpectedly able to carry its weight as she hit it over and over again. Let's go. Combined with the glow I gave it earlier, the monster finally lost its strength to fight back and stopped moving at the ground by Yangshu's feet. I still don't feel bad about rolling back to the choice. I totally thought the monster got past us and was going after her, instead of continuing the fight. That's why I went, oh, we need to outrun that beast. I don't know, maybe my bad understanding of what was written in the choice. Or whatever. Different interpretation, you never know. I don't feel like I cheated for. Combined with the blow I gave it earlier, the monster finally lost its strength to fight back and stopped moving at the ground by Yangshu's feet. Yangshu gasped as she dropped the rock, staring at the lifeless monster with tears in her eyes. She stumbled backward, lost her arms shaking. The rock must have been heavy. Yet, as she looked towards me safe and alive, she gave me an expression of relief that must be matched by whatever expression was on my face right now. The monsters were defeated, and we were alright. However, I didn't know how many monsters there were on this mountain. If any of them had the sound of our fight, then they might come this way. Neither Yangshu nor I were prepared to fight another set of monsters. With the pipe broken as well, yeah. The only thing we could do right now was run to the finish line and get out of this madhouse. I pulled myself up and grabbed her arm, taking her with me away from the clearing. Don't get stunned now. We need to get out of here before more monsters come. Right. We run and run. I hope that we were at least running in the direction of the finish line. After several minutes of running, we stopped to catch our breaths. There were no sounds of monsters nearby, so I dropped to the ground, adrenaline finally leaving me. Not a moment later, Eleven's voice boomed from the sky.
Ooh, there is 1 hour remaining.
1 hour, we better hurry. No matter how tired we felt, we had to press forward. Yangshu nodded in agreement and we continued to trek downwards. We think, at least, we do that. Since there was barely an hour left, we decided to run. A few minutes later, the ground stopped sloping downward. I think we're close. My excitement was cut short by the sudden drop of a cliff a few meters in front of us.
I mean, it's not that bad. We can make it down.
It was true. I could make out the ground beneath the cliff. Still, it wouldn't be an easy journey in the dark.
Hello. Is someone up there?
The sound of several voices caught our attention and we noticed a group of people gathered beneath the cliff.
Hurry! You've made it! It's the finish line, you just have to get down the cliff!
My heart thumped with joy.
Did you hear that? Yeah, Hailu, we did it! Let's hurry!
Well, let's not celebrate yet. Do you still have your phone?
Of course!
Yangshu took the phone from her pocket and turned it on. The bright blue glow illuminating a multitude of footholds on the cliff face.
This doesn't look bad.
Even Yangshu nodded optimistically. The question is, can we trust the people that are down there? We made it down the cliff fairly quickly with just the glow of Yangshu's phone screen.
Congratulations, Omedeto! You did it!
There was a sizable group of survivors past the finish line, but I wasn't told the initial number of participants. I could only hope most of us made it out safely.
Hi, Louie!
Yangshu was interrupted by the toll of a bell and Eleven's voice reverberated from the heavens once more.
Ooh! The first trial is now over! Congratulations the players, who have made it to the finish line!
Before we could celebrate, a blinding white light enveloped us. I covered my face with my arms reflexively and squeezed my eyes shut. And when I opened them... found myself in the comfort of my own living room, the one I used to share with Yangshu. Although this apartment was a familiar place, it felt painfully empty now. Nice place.
Yangshu.
Was sure right. We both made it over the finish line, but... No, wait, I took a deep breath, recategorizing the events in my head as I grounded myself. I was in my apartment. I've been sleeping, so that was a dream? It was unsettling how realistic the dream was. With a sigh, I heaved myself up to a sitting position on the couch and attempted to recall the events of my supposed dream. The images that flashed through my mind gave a shiver down my spine. The sounds, the darkness, the exhaustion of hiking for 9 hours! Not to mention the... Yeah. The inhuman claws, the snapping rows of sharp teeth. Just a dream. Just a dream. Just a dream, yeah. It was just a dream. I tried to tell myself those words, but it felt rather realistic for a nightmare. As I filed away the smell of the monster's breath on me into the depths of my memory, I remembered something softer as well. Yangshu, yeah. I chuckled soft to myself and buried my face in my hands.
I must be really desperate for me to dream about my ex.
I broke up with her. I had no right to dream about her like this. Nightmare. I corrected myself like it was any consolation. She wasn't the bad guy in my dream, nor was she the bad guy of my life. Things simply didn't work out. However, the Yangshu that appeared in my dream was different. It was the Yangshu I remembered breaking up with. Although she was still that soft and gentle girl, I felt as if something had changed since the last time I saw her, despite not much time passing at all. I felt a mind pang of pain in my head as I tried to think about time. Yet, thinking of her, I couldn't help but smile. A slightly sour smile that I would dream of her, albeit different. In the end, her presence made me happy. Maybe this nightmare couldn't be fully called a nightmare. I lifted my head up with a sigh. It was hard to uncode sugar once it had been applied.
I wouldn't be surprised if I was the bad guy of her nightmares.
It was also hard to undo cruelty once it had been done to another person. I shook my head, trying to think of something else. Oh. About 11. I didn't think my brain was capable of dreaming up someone as beautiful as 11. Perhaps I took too much note of Yangshu's soap operas. She looked like she walked right out of one of them.
Judge of the 11th court.
For someone who presided over games, she didn't seem to enjoy much of it. Well, nightmares never made sense. They just existed to scare people. I couldn't help but wonder. For someone as beautiful as 11 to exist in a nightmare, was it really a nightmare? Perhaps she was the silver lining of that cloud. Silver. I hummed to myself as I thought about 11. Silver didn't suit her. She was certainly a bright and vibrant red fighting against a black cloud. Then again, I knew nothing at all about her. If it was any consolation for me, at least I had Yangshu with me in that dream and met a beautiful game master. 11. Yet my nerves wouldn't relax. Monsters lingered in the shadows. I seemed to see them in every dark corner, even behind my own closed eyelids as I blinked. Enough, I couldn't keep thinking about this. I told myself to stop, but my brain kept replying the horrifying images each time I closed my eyes.
I need a breath of fresh air.
I stood and started to the door, opening it with gusto into the void. My apartment living room had no windows. Outside the front door should face out the connecting hallways of the building, which also had no windows. At least that was how it should have been normally. Instead, what reached me was black. Thick darkness covered every part of the world outside my apartment door and began to churn as if it noticed me. As my brain scrambled to make sense of this, to debate my next actions, a cold hand delicately covered mine and pushed the door closed. I turned to look over my shoulder, only to find 11 standing directly behind me, our faces inches apart as we stared into each other's eyes. My brain fried itself as my face heated up. My heart skipped a bit. She wasn't a dream.
I didn't think I know to open the door so quickly.
What's going on?
I told you, you died.
It really wasn't a dream, huh? All of the feelings I had thinking about Yangshu and 11 washed over me again, paired with a nausing sense of dread. I was dead. There were monsters.
There's just a liminal space for recess between games.
So it's fake.
Perhaps.
11 glanced around as if curious about the layout of my apartment.
Hey, why don't you lead me around?
Alright. Despite her asking me the question, she showed a muted surprise at my response. Perhaps that hadn't been a serious request. Would you like some tea? Or do you have some other contestants to visit?
Most contestants don't feel the need to leave their places of comfort after a harrowing experience.
Ha 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 ha. I'm pretty unique then. I spotted a wee start of smile on her lips. As for my joke brought actual amusement. Yet it disappeared so quickly, it might as well be my own hopeful imagination. I led her out of the living room towards the kitchen. The kitchen was in the back of the apartment, past the bedrooms and the bathroom. The thought of bedrooms made me pause. Without thinking, I came to a stop at the first bedroom in the hallway. Rather than waiting for 11, who hadn't even stopped out of the living room yet, I was simply unable to move on. This being Mimi's young shoes room when we were still dating. You had separate rooms? No wonder you fell apart. And I get a feeling that she was sitting within that room right now. The implications of the game came rushing back to me. The things and conversation I had ignored for the sake of time. Yangshu was also dead. How could that happen? She was alive and well when I last saw her. I didn't want to believe it. We might not have worked well together, but I didn't want her to be dead. We were in love, you know.
Eh?
We were dating. How can she be dead? She doesn't deserve it.
You're not dating anymore. Why do you care so much?
I couldn't find an answer. I knew the answer, but I didn't want to face it. Thus, I changed the topic again. Why are we both here for? So we died. But how did we end up in the same game?
Luck. Circumstances. Chance. You both died sinners. Hehe.
I wondered what was my sin. I didn't live as a perfect human being, but what had I done that was so terrible that I'd be called a sinner in the afterlife?
You would have known if you compared the 8 characters.
What? What? The 8 characters were nothing more than feudal superstition, cosmological astrology, centered around the concept that human fate could be determined by the date of one's birth. What?
Fate is set in stone. Humans used to be so careful about it, to plan for the future, yet they don't do it anymore.
I'll tell you why. Because the present is messed up by the older generation.
To even search for your own partners, rather than consulting it carefully for everyone that it involves. It's not just selfish, it's stupid.
Okay, for how much you believe in fate, you sure try to fight it.
Hey? Is that so?
Did I touch a nerve? Perhaps I shouldn't keep bothering her. What should I do now? Find Yangshu, stay with 11. You know what? I wanna stay with 11 now. Well, even if I was bothering her, I had promised her tea. It was hardly a polite thing to abandon that offer now. Letting the topic drop, I walked to the kitchen and prepared the tea. 11 waited wordlessly in the living room as I did so. It seems like, by the way, the kitchen and living room might be like a connected room, basically. So, within a few minutes, I returned to the living room with 2 cups of tea in tao, which I placed on the coffee table. 11 was already seated on the one end of the couch. She wasn't a normal guest, not quite a friend, but somehow not an enemy either. I had the chance at regaining my life thanks to her. She didn't feel like an enemy.
I don't drink a lot of tea, but I was told it's a fancy brand. Some big shot CEO gifted it to me on a business trip. A CEO did? Jealous.
Fair.
It was given to everyone who attended the meeting. She didn't single me out, I promise. I wasn't worried.
I chuckled her immediate response as I sat next to her.
Can you tell me why I'm a sinner? What makes you think you're not? I don't think I've done anything particularly worse than average human.
There were the occasional white lies. Yeah, the flabbing of my time card. Yeah, overly boisterous description of my job on a date. No? But they were hardly sins. If those were sins, then the entire human race couldn't be spared.
I don't have a file on everyone that the king invites to the games of the 11th court. The king of the 11th court.
11 had mentioned... 11 had mentioned the king before, but spared the details each time.
I don't wish to talk about the king.
Well, that was blunt.
Alright.
I suppose no one wanted to talk about their boss during that time off. Yeah. 11 picked up the teacup and took a sip. I will get a sip of water then.
This is pretty good. To think I'm the one who still gets to enjoy good tea. You're the one? How old do you think I am?
23.
Not a day over 18.
Even if it was sarcastic, I liked the sound of her laugh. It was delicate but strong, with purpose and individuality despite what fate might have brought for her.
That would follow considering I haven't visibly aged much since. Despite how I look, I've outlived so many old bastards who'd never get to taste tea like this again.
You sure are fond of that tea, huh?
Well, grown tea leaves are well-grown tea leaves. That doesn't change with the centuries.
I reached over for the tin of leaves.
Would you like it? No, thank you. You can't bribe a judge of the 11th court.
What? I couldn't help breaking into laughter. Even raised an unamused brow at me.
No. I wouldn't bribe you.
Caught her blushing.
At least not with tea leaves I got for free from a flirty CEO. So she was flirty, huh? If I were to bribe you, trust me, you wouldn't see it coming. No. I just want you to have this. If you like it, then I mean it. Keep it in the tin. Keeping it in the tin will make the tea lose all its layers since I don't drink tea or make boba. Boba?
Her face twisted in distaste.
What use would tea have for women's? No. You don't know what bubble tea is.
To be fair, I've never drunk that.
Bubble tea?
Her expression was still dark, and for a moment I was afraid she'd storm right out of my apartment with the wrong idea. Given how she dressed, it wasn't surprised that she hadn't caught up with modern terminology.
It's a popular drink nowadays. Tea with milk, sugar, and tapioca balls. We call the tapioca balls boba.
I think you could get it in my city somewhere. Let's see. If I could type now, that would be... If I could type, that would be great. Oh my god, I suck at typing so much. Oh, it's closed. Nice. Like, seems like maybe even completely. Well, that's definitely... Or maybe it's not? Wait, maybe there is a second place. There is a second place. Ooh. Maybe next week. Anyway. She still looked skeptical.
I'll take you out for some... after I win the games, then you'll see that I'm not lying. Alright.
But you will not remember if you win.
It's a date then. Here.
I held a tin of tea leaves out to her.
I promise to do so.
She stirred the tin so long. I was afraid she wouldn't take it, but finally she took it into her hand.
Thank you.
She placed the tin within her sleeves. I never did understand the physics behind those pockets.
Hey.
The sternness in her voice brought me back to the gravity of my situation. One where jokes about tea and tapioca pearls didn't belong.
There will be 2 more trials to the game of life. Have your wits about you and be prepared. I would hate to see you lose. Is that something you say? To every contestant or just me?
She didn't respond, only disappearing once I blinked. The sound of a bell rang through the apartment, and in the next moment... I found myself in an endless black void again, accompanied only by the image of a wooden door a few feet away from me. Why prolong the inevitable? I opened the door and walked through. My legs hurt so much. It's like I was the one trekking for 9 hours and not her. The same light as before covered my entire body, prompting me to close my eyes till I reached the second test. What the heck? The ground underneath my feet seemed to change. I opened my eyes to the sight of a large western mansion. The low, confused chatter of human voices surrounded me. Glancing around, I found that I was within a small crowd of people I recognized as survivors from the previous round. Strangers aside from our shared misfortune. Young stood a few paces away. Her eyes met mine and we exchanged looks. I walked closer to her. Pum 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 pum. There stilled, the chatter suddenly stopped. I hope that dress basically reaches the ground and it's not like someone forgot to, you know, make feet for her. With light footsteps that could barely be heard in the newfound silence, 11 walked up and stood before the small crowd. Oh yeah, we were supposed to ask about her name.
Welcome to the second round of your trial. I'll explain the rules of this game.
At the moment, a fellow survivor rushed at 11. The hell with us! They raised their fists with the intention to beat 11. Yet 11 did not move or scream. Flicking her wrist, she slipped the scalpel out from her sleeve and swiftly threw the blade at the enraged survivor. The scalpel embedded itself in their forehead. Ugh. A trickle of blood rolled down from the wound. Then they collapsed to the ground. Their body fell apart, limbs looking as if they had been hacked apart with a saw, and began to bloat, discoloring dark and putrid. Like a murder victim, dismembered and disposed of in a river. I looked away.
If I must, I'll remind you that I'm the judge of your trial. Follow the etiquette of the court lest you be thrown out from the game of life.
11 gestured to the air. Whoa. Hello. Mates. With super small heads. A group of mates, whose features I could not see, walked up to us. They squatted down by the corpse and began to pick it up, tearing apart any remaining large pieces to better carry. Without speaking, all but one mate returned to the mansion, taking all traces of the dead body with them.
Now then, the rules. You'll be guests at this mansion for the next 3 days and 2 nights, where you'll be participating in the second round of your trials.
Oh no. I have a bad feeling about this.
Within the period of the test, you must find the trial key hidden within the mansion grounds. There will be a feast for the king of the 11th court in the evening of the 3rd night, which marks the deadline for this game.
Her voice seemed to twist as she mentioned the king.
If any of you is able to find the key, then all remaining guests will be considered to have won this round. Similarly, if no one of you is able to find the key, then everyone will be considered to have lost and be served as a meal at the feast. Collective punishment, collective victory. Oh, and you will know that you have found the key when you see it. Good luck.
11 made a little clap of encouragement.
The servant will escort you inside.
Gesturing to the remaining maid, 11 turned and walked in the mansion. The maid bowed.
Welcome, guests. Please follow me.
Her voice held an unnatural rasp that made my gut churn. The maid led the group inside the mansion, painting out the doors to the dining room where we would have meals before leading us to a hallway with many doors. That's a fancy place. She walked us down the hallway, pointing each person to one door, stating that those were their assigned rooms. My room and Yangshu's room were 4 doors away from each other.
Curfew is after dark. Please stay inside your rooms after the curfew. That will be all.
The maid bowed and walked away. Our survivor group idled in the hallway, waiting for someone to make the first move. Finally, a woman spoke up.
Hey, let's have everyone search their rooms and then meet up here in the hallway again to make a plan.
You really think they put the key in the bedroom?
Better safe than sorry.
A few murmurs, complaints, agreements sounded out. I mean, nobody else came up with a plan, so...
Sure, that sounds fine with me.
Yangshu nodded. Tus, holy moly, that's a room. Tus, after the group came to the consensus, I went to my assigned room to check for the key. Fitting with the look of the mansion, the room was a Western-style room. I sifted through the furniture and looked under beds, mattresses, pillows, and so on. However, I found no key. Before long, I returned to the hallway where around half of the group had already regrouped. A minute later, Yangshu came out of her room and shuffled to my side. The rest of the group returned with time. Anyways, you said something about the plan. Got anything, lady?
That's what we are here to discuss.
With less cohesion than soapy water, the group started grumbling and debating on what to do. Noisy? They really were noisy. Yangshu fidgeted, eyes darting the floor to avoid the attention of any of the other survivors. She seemed a little pale. I cleared my throat, prompting a few survivors to look my way. Taking advantage of the short dip in noise, I raised my voice.
I believe it's best if we all split up and investigate separately, cover more ground. We can regroup over meals in the dining room to discuss our findings. That would work with me.
Some more noise. Whatever, see you when those creepy maids call for mealtime then. At long last, the group dispersed, walking off in different directions to search for the key. I let out a sigh I didn't know I'd been holding in. I set my bangs out my face and turned to Yangshu, who hadn't left with the other survivors.
Let's go.
We walked together out of the hallway with the guest rooms. Making a random turn, we looked around for any hints of the special key that 11 mentioned. While the key wasn't as kind as to be sitting on the ground in the middle of a hallway, we soon happened upon a large plaque on the wall, classical script carved into bronze. I narrowed my eyes to decipher the riddle. Reading the text loud, Yangshu snapped a picture of the plaque with her phone that she had brought on to document the mention.
He, the Marshal of the Central Altar, sleeps at the hour of the dragon and snake, together with the sacrifices key. Cursing the father blessed by the gods.
Even spoken loud, it seemed like a Like gibberish.
Looks like a hint for where the key is located, but what does it even mean? Dragon and snake curse. It's kind of ominous. I don't know, maybe it's referring to a place in the mansion that we haven't been to yet?
I noted.
Then again, it could be a red herring. If it isn't, then we would be the sacrifices. Sacrifices to be eaten, huh? It's kind of unpleasant that whoever rolled this decided already that we're going to lose. It makes you want to prove them wrong even more. You took a picture, right? We can think about this a little more and review the text from your phone later then.
We had barely just started investigating this mansion. What would be our best bet? With the size of the mansion and the low survivor count from the first round. What do you mean by low? One of them, died because he was stupid. So, how many left? 3 days wouldn't be enough to dig through every nook and cranny. Let's go investigate with Yangshu, yeah. Still, 2 pairs of eyes would be better than 1.
Shall we keep investigating together?
I held out my hand to Yangshu, but she hesitated.
I'd be happy to.
She took my hand. We continued exploring the mansion, checking the corners of hallways, entering rooms here and there. For each location, Yangshu took a number of photos, stating that it would be easier to zoom into details and review locations with her phone. Zigzagging around the halls, we eventually exited the mansion through a side door in the southeast section. We reached an outdoor garden. By the garden was a pretty pond with lotus flowers floating on the water's surface. The garden too was filled with greenery and blossoms. For all that the mansion was disconcerting, I could only call this garden pretty.
So there's a place like this here too?
We walked around the garden for an initial look, peeking at the plants and soil. I spotted a bed of orchids and approached it, squatting in front of a section of white orchids. Turning my head to Yangshu, who seemed confused, I couldn't help but smile.
That flower suits you.
Beside the white orchids were a section of pink ones as well.
I think they suit you more.
Yangshu walked up to the flower bed and leaned down to pick a single orchid blossom. She made a gesture offering it up to me, so I tilted my head instinctively till she tucked it above my ear, which tickled my girlish heart. Perhaps I made a strange expression.
Orchids are perennials. Orchids are perennials, so long as they're correctly planted. You only have to plant them once and they will come back every year for 2 decades.
That's nuts.
One blossom won't kill it. Although, if we're dead, then certainly they should also be dead. Too bad. They really are pretty.
I stood back up, and the two of us finished surveying the garden's general appearance. No hints of the key could be found from the light overview. A light breeze blew by. The weather was fine today.
Let's split the garden and search through the flower beds.
I looked toward Yangshu, wondering if I should have specified how we were splitting the task, but it seemed that I didn't need to.
I'll take the right side. Sure.
We split, heading to our respective sides. I squatted down by the flower beds and parted them, checking through the dirt and the crevices hidden by their leaves and petals. A good while passed, and as I lifted my hand to wipe some sweat that was cold by the breeze, I noticed something. Before I realized it, the little flower in my hair had already been blown away. A little disappointed, I returned to my task. Despite the length of the tedious labor, I found nothing. I wondered if I had to uproot the flowers, but not only did it seem extreme, I didn't have the tools for digging. Finished, I stood back up. My knees made a little cracky noise for my back that felt sorer than it should have. I rejoined Yangshu, who had also finished.
Any luck?
No. She shook her head, and I let her sigh.
What does this Qian even look like? You'll know when you see it. Unfortunately, it seems like we haven't seen it just yet. Maybe the key's a lie. I heard that... I'm happy at the very least that they were kind enough to give us a couple of days before executing us. Are you giving up?
Yangshu looked at me.
No, not this time. How could I give up just when I've been so lucky as to meet you again after death? Then, let's pass all 3 rounds. Yeah. Let's go back inside then. Just one more thing.
She retrieved her phone from her pocket and quickly went around the garden to snap photos from every angle. Yangshu looked lonely, holding the phone so carefully. I wondered how long she had that phone case, that kitty phone strap. I couldn't quite remember when she had bought it, but perhaps it was as far back as college. She finished up the photos in no time. Then we returned inside the mansion. For whatever reason, our timing coincided with that of many maidservants milling around the hallway connected to the side door in the southeast quadrant. Yangshu and I moved to the side of the hallway to avoid them while walking, falling into a single file line of 2. I felt Yangshu tug on the edge of my jacket and I turned around to face her.
Can we share a room tonight? I don't feel safe sleeping here alone.
I shot a quick glance at the maids, feeling the hairs on my arms begin to stand.
Of course, yeah. Let's go to my room together before curfew.
For a moment I thought about the past, a room we shared and a room we didn't. Once upon a time, she was a girl who I loved. A girl who loved me. Right now we were no more than friends by my own will. I held her hand and hurried away from the servants. It would be nice to find the key soon. Investigation continued for a while longer, to no avail before everyone was called for dinner by the voice of a maid from an invisible intercom. I stand next to Yangshu at the big dining table. Looking around the table, I noticed an empty seat. The young man from before never showed up for dinner. No one had succeeded in finding the key yet. Probably. The servants served dinner and few words were exchanged between us survivors. After eating, we all headed back to our rooms to rest for the evening. I walked into my assigned room, turning on the light before Yangshu followed me in. She glanced around the room and let out a hum of contemplation.
The layout of my assigned room looks the exact same. So all of the guest rooms look the same? Maybe.
After freshening up in the attached washroom, the 2 of us sat on the only bed in the room. I plopped down onto my back, enjoying the soft bounce of the mattress. I put my arms behind my head and let my legs dangle off the edge of the bed. I looked towards her from the odd low angle as she retrieved her phone, hand crank, and began to charge her phone. She really was slow. I sat up thinking that I'd do it for her instead since I could crank it at least 2 times faster, and then I froze.
Was it really better for me to do it?
It was also because I did this that we fell apart. Back when we were still dating, I had always been trying to take over what Yangshu had been doing, whether out of impatience or arrogance. Oh fuck. Now you tell me that? You should have told me that on the first freaking approach. We would be scouting instead of cranking that thing up. She didn't blame me, but I had blamed her for letting me.
I'm happy.
Her soft voice broke me out of my thoughts.
Why? I'm happy that despite our breakup, we can still sit around like this and spend time together.
I mean, we were originally friends before we dated.
That we were? Have I known you almost for half my life now?
It makes me feel old when you say that.
I still remember being a student like it was just yesterday. Although I don't particularly want to go back and relive those days.
Think about something?
Nothing in particular. Although there was that time you studied all day, every day for weeks on end, just to spite our class top-ranking student.
My dark history.
The gallant class topper, Qian Hailu. For the term, that is. Says number 2. Grandma was proud but also worried, so she made me promise not to overdo it in the future. I personally found it a little charming. Do you secretly like nerdy people? It's not about that, but that you were working hard for your goal. That and the usual first place student really was an insecure jerk. I don't even remember what she said to me at that time, but I do remember you snapping at her. Next thing I knew, you'd thrown yourself at studying.
Ha, is that so? I vaguely remember that I heard the guts of our class first place student. A wave of nostalgia ran over me as we chatted about our high school days. We were already quite close during high school. But both decent students, we ended up attending the same college as well, one with a high-ranking biology program located near our hometown. It really did seem like we'd known each other for a long time.
Do you remember our military training at the start of college?
What? I'm sorry, what? Military What? Like every Chinese first-year undergraduate, we participated in mandatory 2-week-long military drills at the start of our college life after a relaxing end to high school. China, what is wrong with you? I know a lot, but... What?
Don't remind me of that.
Her hand crank slowed.
There was too much sun, where whoever decided that all college students have to exercise under the summer sun should be purged.
Well, I think not wearing sunscreen also contributed to the sunburn.
Sunscreen! Like I said back then, I'm never setting foot in the sun again if I don't have to.
As a working adult, you don't have to go out in the sun like that anymore. But don't you still need a little light to be healthy? Unfortunately, yeah.
My vitamin supplements are covering it. Don't laugh! You also bought me a bottle of gummy vitamins at the sun umbrella, so you're contributing to it. Sorry. I think I might actually have a picture from around then.
Young Shu stopped cranking and instead turned the phone screen on, opening up her photo gallery app and scrolling through a myriad of pictures. I peeked over her shoulder and to see many nostalgic moments recorded in her gallery. See, told you that's why she kept the phone. Finally, she stopped on the picture and clicked on it. The picture expanded, showing a photo of her looking rather crispy and me slathering globes of white sunscreen on her face. This was probably around 3/4 of the way through military training when she finally agreed to use sunscreen. Who took this photo?
Bay Moody! She sent it to me as part of her commemorative album.
That was the name of a college classmate? What a nostalgic name. I haven't talked with Bay Moody in a while. Next thing we know, we're going to be meeting up with her for an alumni anniversary event, and she'll be dragging along a child with her girlfriend. Has anyone ever had, like, the freaking anniversary event? Alumni and so on? I've never had that. Not in high school, not at university, not at anything.
Words that come from someone who is aging.
Yang resumed charging her phone with the hand crank and we chatted a little longer. The night deepened. I let out a yawn and stretched my arms. She finished with her phone charger and put it away into her pocket, shaking her wrist, then catching my yawn, she yawned as well.
Let's go to bed, now?
Yang grudgingly nodded. I slipped off the bed to turn off the light.
Good night. Good night.
We tucked into bed, taking one half each. I couldn't help but notice that both of us kept a space between each other. I closed my eyes, feeling the day's exhaustion run over my body and... Someone is knocking, seriously? Someone was at the door! Intending to get out of bed and that's where I shifted.
Don't. Don't open the door.
Sure. Dude, they just don't give up, do they? A chill ran down my spine. Propping myself up on my side with my elbow, I gazed toward the door that was still closed and locked from the inside. Whoever was knocking at the door had no intention of opening the door. However, the knocking continued for much longer than any sane human would knock for. The party beyond the door was never saying a word. Finally, the knocking stopped. I breathed in a sharp breath of air and glanced back at Yangshu, who was also now looking at the door. Click! I heard the muffled sound of the survivor next door opening their door. Then the woman screamed. And stopped screaming with a squelch, which I shouldn't have been able to hear through the wall. Yangshu grabbed onto my shirt, making me flinch, and buried her face into my back. Yangshu was trembling. From the other room came more sounds, crunching, cracking, splattering, which made my stomach turn with noisy and my vision begin to undulate in the darkness. I breathed in and out, focusing on Yangshu.
It's okay. It's not in our room. It's okay. We're safe.
My words were both for her and for myself. Okay, I have no idea what's written here. Is it just dots or is it actual letters? Let's do a little cheatsy doodles. But it seems like it's dots, to be fair. When I made a, cutout of the screen, it seems like it's dots, not words. So I guess, nothing is being said, which is fine. Eventually the sounds from the other room stopped. We waited in trepidation.
I think at the door was probably...
Footsteps passed and no more sounds, no more knocking came. I watched the door for a while longer, letting Yangshu hold on to me, until we concluded that we were safe for now. At long last, I closed my eyes and slept. Daylight came in an instant. I mean, we can assume it's those monsters, but also I think maybe the mates are those monsters? And you know what, dude, this is lengthy. I mean, I kind of expected this, but let's cut it right here, right now. We've managed to go through first trial and sort of, in a way, 1/3 of a second trial. Tomorrow we shall continue with the second one and see where this is all going. So far, super interesting. No wonder this game was was on the podium when it comes to Spooktober Jam. Yeah, no wonder about that. Oh boy. Right, I mean, hope you enjoyed the video, of course. Consider liking, subscribe if you're new around, that's always appreciated. The game, of course, the final price is the soup. Link to the description. Of course, link to itch.io. By the way, this is a free game, completely free. So, go and play it yourself too. Go and play it yourself too. With that being said, hope you all have a wonderful day, and yeah, hope to see you tomorrow too, because we are definitely continuing this. Bye bye.